Yes, get in. Everton finally win at Arsenal. It's been long overdue. You're watching Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, and I'm here with David. David, that was daylight robbery.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a win to me because the performance for me was poor, really poor. But
Come on, David, please don't start on a negative. Please just don't start on a negative.
I just didn't enjoy it. What's football anymore when you're watching that? I mean, I'm sick of it. We won the game, but there's 6 games left, and we play like that again, which is, it's really frustrating for me. I know you're happy, and it has been 25 years. So, look, we're ending all these hoodoos this year, which is really good. Anfield, Spurs away, Arsenal away. We got the point at United. Our record against the big teams away has been fantastic, and at home, really. But I've
got to be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to start on a negative because we've just won at Arsenal. We haven't won at Arsenal. I don't think in my memory we've won at Arsenal. I'm nearly 28 years of age. I can't remember us winning there. And it was daylight robbery. I thought we were terrible. Again, Spurs game aside, these last 6 games we've been really poor. And I'm blaming a lot of that on the manager because I think the setup doesn't suit these players. I know he's trying to shoehorn Richarlison. He's trying to shoehorn James. He wants all the big hitters in. It doesn't work. They can't all play together. And we're not going to get the best out of Calvert-Lewin whilst we're relying on the width from these fullbacks, because these fullbacks are being asked to play as wingers and as defenders. It's not going to work long term. But as a one-off game, I'm absolutely delighted that we've won. Yes, it was a pathetic from Arsenal, a terrible mistake, but we've got to come away from this now positive and look at it with, I think, the 7 games left, or 6 games. I'm not quite sure, but there's not many games left, and we're just 3 points off the top 4, and we've been shit for the last 6 games. The top 4 is still on. Hopefully, I'm not expecting us to finish in the top 4. To be honest, I'm not even expecting us to finish in the top 6. But you've got to have the confidence now to go and at least try and have a go for that.
Yeah, I think the goal difference will be our killer ultimately, because it'll be tight towards the end of the season, and we play away at Man City on the last day, probably needing something to avoid the goal difference issue if we are in a good position. So it's going to be tricky for us to get in the Champions League and possibly Europa League, but it's still on. Look, we're a point behind Liverpool, I think. Played the same as them, but we're a point behind Spurs, and we've got a game in hand on them. So 6th or 7th is still on, perfectly on now. But okay, let's look at the positives from the game then. I thought first half we were a bit passive, but we did have some bright moments. So I'll give them
few and far between. Turn your phone off, please. You know what? I'm just going to come in on this now and say that you can't play well every week. I thought we played really well against Spurs. We didn't get what we deserved, and against Brighton, I thought we were quite good. James controlled the game. Tonight he was poor, and I think when Everton have him in the team and he doesn't play well, we just don't function. I thought he was awful. I thought Gomez was awful. I thought Sigurdsson didn't look great on the left. Coleman seemed reluctant to get forward. There's something not quite right. The balance, I don't think, in defence between Holgate and Godfrey, I don't think that's going to work long term. I think you need more of a stopper in there. I think tonight it was too much, very, very static, very Sabutio-like. Everyone stays in their little positions. It came across like there was a bunch of midfielders and everyone just wanted to pass it side to side until eventually they'd get dispossessed, or there wouldn't be a pass on and they'd hoof it forward and we'd lose it. And I thought that was the theme throughout the whole game. There didn't seem to be a strategy. There didn't seem to be a game plan, or if it was, it was hard. It was hard to watch. It was painful to watch.
Well, I'm going to go back to negative now, but we were very poor in the second half, where we struggled to really progress through our own half into their half. I know Arsenal played with a lot of a very narrow system from what I could see, and they know that we have no width, so we're trying to play through the midfield. It was just too difficult to play through. We
Yeah.
just have the quality to do it. And you could see we weren't going to play long ball. And I'm not saying we should have done, but
Yeah.
I did want to see some long balls in behind. With Arsenal pressing us into our own half, there must have been acres of space behind their back line, which we couldn't see on the cameras on the TV. And that's where our goal came from. It was a long ball that went in behind the channel. You've got
Why did it take 80 minutes to do that? To isolate someone like Xhaka, who's playing Xhaka or whatever name is, he's playing left back. He's not a left back.
I'd like to criticize the formation, but the one thing the formation did do was put Richarlison at right mid against Xhaka, and I think that's why Ancelotti did that. But we didn't use that enough, because when he had chances down that right channel, we looked dangerous through Richarlison, and that was pretty much it. And that's where the goal came from, 1v1 with a midfielder.
We didn't do that all game, and you know what surprised me? We've wanted 4-3-3 to come back. I think that's his preferred formation when he has everyone fit like he did today. We missed Decore. We know that he's a massive miss in that system, but I think he does want to play the 4-3-3. What surprised me was that he tried that against a team that does play with natural width in Arsenal. They have the two wingers, Pepe, and the other guy. It's hard to remember his name because I don't think he played very well. Saka, was it? We went for the 4-3-3, and it did leave us a little bit exposed. I thought Arsenal played through us too easily at times. It was only till the end of the game when we had the two banks of 5, if you like, that they didn't really get through us. And even then, Pickford had to make 2 unbelievable saves. So I thought we played into Arsenal's hands a bit too much. We showed them too much respect, and I think we didn't expose their weaknesses. I look at their team and I think the Arsenal fan TV will be a meltdown right now. That's why not many people will be watching this, because they'll be watching them kick off.
Let's not forget that they had a lot of injuries today. I'm not making excuses for Arsenal. I'm not sure that actually helped us, because I think we felt like the game was for the taking. And, we generally don't perform when the opposition look like a weaker side on paper. So if they'd had Aubameyang, they would have had a bit more of a threat with Lacazette and Aubameyang. And I think they would have tried to take the game to us and left a bit more space like Spurs did last week. But as it was, they got men behind the ball when we were trying to build up from the back. And we really struggled with that, especially in the second half. First half, we did create chances, but I felt like the system didn't work for me. Against Spurs, the 5 at the back, it allowed us to push the wing backs up and press. Today, I felt like Coleman and Dean were doing 2 jobs, and they just were stretched. They couldn't do the attacking role as well. We had no width, so it was painful to watch. Really frustrating. We're playing for European football here. We need to win the games. Draw is no good now. We've dropped too many points. Why?
It was destined for 0-0. It was destined for 0-0. And let us know in the comments what you think. You're satisfied with that, Dave? Just please comment and let us know what you think about the game so far. Dave, you touched on the way that Arsenal got behind the ball and stopped us from playing out from the back. Do you think then it's someone like Gomez's responsibility to drop in and try and take the ball off them? Because I felt there was no outlet, and then when James did try and come and take the ball, he was getting robbed. He was getting pressured. He was giving the ball away time and time again. So we couldn't really find a solution. And the long ball wasn't working because Calvert-Lewin was so isolated. So where do you see that? Do you see that as a tactical issue, or do you think that was the personnel just not playing well? What do you put that down to?
I think it's a bit of both. And as I've just said, with the 5 at the back and in our build-up play, we could have had wing backs for James to cross the ball out to, but he seemed to take too much time tonight, and I felt like he was a little bit negative.
He's too slow.
He got robbed quite a lot of time. He was too slow to distribute the ball off. He didn't really do anything tonight, but he's not going to play well every single week. It was difficult. It was a difficult watch, wasn't it?
No, it was.
I think regardless of the personnel, like Gomez coming back in, I didn't think he was poor, but I didn't think he did anything much. So, what does that say?
Here's our friend Dave. Dave, hi. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching. Lads, 3 points is 3 points, no matter how we get it. Yeah, we know. That's why we said we
Yeah.
were starting off on a positive note. We are ecstatic. We've won at Arsenal. We've got 3 points. But we have to look at this. We're doing a match reaction. We've got to get it off our chest, how we're feeling. And I think up until that goal, I was quite livid with what I was watching, which
Very.
was very much sideways, back, and then a long ball, punt. And I watch players like Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin get more and more frustrated as the game goes on, and they become less effective in a way because they're starved of the ball in the right areas. At the same time, Richarlison, I think he took 15 minutes to have his first touch. So there's too many players like him, anonymous, going throughout the game. Don't know how he got man of the match, because the goal was the known goal, wasn't it?
Well, we didn't score, did we? We didn't score. We put a cross across, and the keeper howled it in. That's why it feels not like a win. But I know we've won at Anfield, won at the Emirates for the first time, and won at Arsenal for the first time in 25 years. But we didn't actually score, really. So I can't help but look at this from a long-term perspective, as in the next 6 matches. And I don't understand why that Spurs performance couldn't have been replicated. We did have a week's gap between the game. There was no excuse for it.
Yeah, I thought we'd come here and really stamp our authority on the game, and we didn't.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're watching, we're not in matching outfits. This wasn't intended. We don't live together. We are brothers, but this is not matching. This is a polo shirt, and you're on a jumper, but it does look quite similar. Dave has made another comment. He says James had to drop back to get involved, and Richie had two touches in their box in 28 minutes. I think he had 2 touches in the first 20 minutes in the whole game. I thought he was anonymous for large parts, but then I could say the same about Gomez, Sigurdsson, James. I thought Alan was probably one of the better performers actually today. Can't really fault him. And Calvert-Lewin, to be fair, did the best he could. He's not at full sharpness. But you talk about James dropping back into, to try and receive the ball. It's because he's not getting the ball. No one's playing it through to him. It's the job of Gomez. It's the job of Alan to get James involved in the right areas where he can create something. Look, fundamentally, this system is not going to work. We need 2 wingers with pace, or at least a right back with pace who can get forward and go 1v1, attack and defense, because it's flawed at the moment. The balance is wrong.
It's too narrow.
And I can't see how we can fix it with these individuals.
Yeah, it's too narrow today. We had 4 midfielders. We were trying to build up through the middle of the pitch with neat passes, but we just don't have the ability, even with a player of Hammers' quality and Sigurdsson's quality. They don't seem to have the ability to thread a few passes between each other and get it up the pitch. Arsenal are quite good at doing that. They just didn't have any end product. I personally think we need to just play the 5 at the back /3 at the back till the end of the season, till we get a winger in. We need that width. It creates space in the center of the pitch to pass the ball around to. Tonight was too narrow.
Do you think he's cottoned on to the fact that Wobie and Bernard aren't very good, and the options out wide? This current formation is probably the less of 2 evils. I don't know, because I feel like I really want to see Bernard given a go on the left and just try and get a bit of link up down the side. It's just,
I felt like the team selection tonight was just Sigurdsson had a good game last week, couldn't drop him. Same for James, and then Calvert-Lewin had to be squeezed back in. You could argue Davies should have played as that deep lying anchor in the midfield. Let Alan go and do the pressing, but instead you've got Alan who's basically wandering off to press, leaving a gap, and Gomez is not going to cover that space, and he just doesn't get involved enough. Gomez, so it's like having a wasted player on the pitch, really.
Thought our pressing today was terrible.
You could say the same about Delph when he came on. He just passenger.
The Delph one annoyed me a little bit because he come on and straight away. Don't know if anyone else picked up on this, but he screamed composure, something. I just heard something, and it relax, was it? I don't know if anyone else heard that. He screamed relax, and he's booked 2-3 minutes later because he's trying to rescue a counter attack when James gives the ball away. but it's just like he's like the player, the Phil Neville, who thinks he thinks he's better than he is, and he thinks he's better than he is, and he tells other people what to do, and he can't really do it himself. But at the end of the day, I thought he did okay, considering he's come back in. I think the manager likes him. He obviously sees something in him, maybe leadership qualities or some sort of ability. But the substitutions perplex me. I would have brought King on to try and stretch Arsenal a little bit more, because we didn't have any pace. Even Richarlison generally runs far too slow and laboured. There was one counter attack. I remember he got the ball and then he checks inside and it slows everything
down. He takes too many touches and he's a bit greedy looking, thinks it's an opportunity. And by the time he's ready to shoot, there's 5 Arsenal players behind the ball. I mean, Delph, if I'm going to look at him as a player, he came from Man City. He won medals. He won competitions. So he's obviously, a decent player. I know he's had injuries. His dribbling is better than some of the midfielders we've got in there to wiggle out. His passing's okay. He could do a job for us. He's got
very left-footed.
But he's going to get injured anyway.
He won't last 5 minutes. Yeah. The two Daves are in agreement here. Our friend Dave. Dave, if you haven't subscribed to YouTube, I'm assuming you have if you've found us on there. But if you haven't already subscribed, please do and make sure you like this video. He says Tom Davis should have started. There's something about Tom Davis that makes me think, I just don't have many positive connotations with him. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't really have many standout qualities technically, and physically he's not amazing. And I just never think he's going to be the player that's going to start when there's other options available. I think he's low down that pecking order. I think he's got a lot of improvements to make. And to be honest, I don't think he will ever make those improvements, because you're talking about natural talent here. You either got it or you haven't.
He's a squad player. You could say he's been integral to our season with all the injuries we've had in midfield.
He has. So, but he doesn't get anywhere near it. He wouldn't even get on the bench when Decore's fit. If we've got a fully fit team, he arguably doesn't make the bench because you've got that many players. It's just because
we never have a fully fit team, so let's forget that.
No, I know. Dave, why should Dave of Davey started? Let us know. Moving forward now, obviously, actually, we've barely touched on some of the aspects of the game. Richarlison, with that nice chance early on in the first half, he finally got played through, and he comes onto his left foot. It was a good save by Leno. Calvert-Lewin's too eager. He's run above and beyond the ball. If he just held his run, he would have had a tap in. But I thought Everton dominated in spells in that first half without really getting out of first gear. And I'm saying that because I just think Arsenal, this is not Arsenal that we know. This is a very, very poor Arsenal team. This is tepid. This is they have the intent there. They just don't have the quality. They don't have the end product. And we're talking about an Arsenal team today. We showed them too much respect. We sank down to their levels. Aubameyang has got malaria, which is very sad. Wish him well. And Lacazette is injured. So those two missing, they don't really have anyone that sticks out and think you start panicking and playing with fear against them. Well, I felt we were a bit scared of them. We were a bit.
There's no finisher in that side. They pass the ball well, but they've got Nikita up front, haven't they?
No one. We should have been more brave against them. There's nothing in that.
I think we could have played the high line. From what I've seen of Nikita, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I watched him.
About Yelovich, mate.
I watched him with England for the under-21s. He would just get, if you isolate him with the back line, he just doesn't get a sniff. He's good when he comes deep to receive the ball. He doesn't stretch teams. He's not good in the air. So basically, you can press onto him and push up the pitch, and you should be safe because he doesn't run in behind either. So
I think in theory today we tried to. I think he wanted us to play a high press, high line. That's why he went for that back four. That's why he went for that team, because I think we've got to appreciate here. If you're playing with the fullbacks who've got to provide the width, they've got to start higher. They can't be this deep and then trying to get up. It just doesn't work. I think he wanted a higher line, more aggressive, more pressing. It didn't work. It didn't come off. I don't know whether they didn't follow his instructions or what, but I think that was the plan, because I'd have done the same. You look at Arsenal, they don't really have that number 9 there available at the moment. They had a centre mid playing at left back. They had Chambers, who's a centre back, playing at right back, and they had the centre back partnership. It's not amazing. The midfield isn't amazing. Out wide, Pepe's been hit and miss. Saka's a good player. He's played for England, I think.
That is a really poor Arsenal team
It's
compared to what I've
terrible.
seen over my lifetime.
But they matched us, or shall we say, we matched them, or we sank to their level.
We definitely sank. Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say before, and you said it, we sank to their level as usual when we play somebody who's not as high in the league as us. I thought we would play the name and not the team and come out
100%.
and actually play that game like we did against Spurs, but we didn't. We sank to them. Well, I feel that way anyway.
When some of the times this season when we played these Super League knobhead teams, we have raised our game. Maybe today they just didn't see Arsenal as one of those. Maybe they do see Arsenal. Maybe for once they didn't play the name and they played who was in front of them, and we did that typical thing where we're sinking down to the level of the opposition, which we've done a lot at home. But maybe we did that today, because I thought at the first we're gonna play the name today. Arsenal, big club, massive club, and not the group that are there, which wouldn't look out of place in the bottom half, lower down. I look at that Arsenal team and I think, how many of those players would I have at Everton? I'd have Saka. Maybe would he start? Because who'd you leave out? Yeah, probably. But the rest of them, there's very few in the Arsenal team that I would have.
Saka. I mean, they have got Tierney out. I'd have Tierney.
I'm talking about that team we played today.
The team we played today, I'd have Leno, but apart from his performance today. But
really? I think Pickford's played really, really well recently.
He has recently, but I'm just saying, if I could choose the players that would improve our squad, for me, it's like Leno, Partey, and Saka out of that team.
Okay, we're talking about the squad, and you know what annoys me? Just when you mentioned Partey, we don't know how you pronounce him, but he's in midfield. He got booked early, and then he made another foul straight away. Obviously, he didn't foul him. He didn't book him again. Why aren't we tactically aware enough to go, well, I'm going to run at him. He's on a yellow card. Why has no one been sent off against us? And let's touch on some of the things that happened in this game in the second half now. The penalty. Richarlison got away with one in the first half, right? Okay, fine.
Yeah, you're screaming at it in the first half, saying, why it's an attacker's challenge. It's a clumsy challenge.
Sticking a foot out.
What are you doing?
He's normally good defensively, isn't he?
Yeah, he just seemed to have a rush of blood today. And you don't expect him to do it again after the first one. And he does.
So there's no leadership in the team. The only player making any noise is Pickford the whole game. We watch it on without the annoying fan fake noise, and we had the annoying plane noise, incidentally, which was arguably just as bad. Planes and drones flying over and fireworks, very irritating. If you're an Arsenal fan, fuck it off, because it's very bad for anyone watching. And we're absolutely ecstatic we beat you today, by the way. But what was my point?
You're talking about the Richarlison foul penalty.
The stupidity. Just stupidity, isn't it? I mean,
well, do you think that it was actually a penalty if they'd given it?
The first one, no, he doesn't touch it.
The one that they actually gave the penalty for.
He doesn't touch it. Okay, the first one. I don't know. I'm struggling to remember. Okay, but you're thinking it's a stupid tackle, stupid to put a foot in there, and then you think you just don't do that again. Where's the leadership? Pickford's the only one talking. No one in the whole team is saying anything. There appears to be no leadership. That was the point I was making. That when you're listening to it without the crowd noise, you can hear everything the players are saying. And there's only one player talking in that team. There's only one leader, and that's Jordan Pickford, and that's why he's my man of the match today. But no one's saying, Richarlison, careful, watch what's going on here. And he does it again. He dangles a leg. I don't think he catches him. They're saying on commentary he does.
I think
but if any, it's not a foul.
you look at it on the camera and you freeze the frame, his body is touching. I don't know who it was who went down, but he kind of does touch him. But then I think it was Ceballos. He kind of takes a second before he realizes he's been touched. Oh, and he thinks, oh, I better go down, and just falls over.
It's a con. The
You
whole
know,
thing's a con.
yeah, it was a con. And once he falls over, he's got to give the penalty, and he can't overturn it because there was a slight contact, and we're saved by a whisker of offside. We're
Contact doesn't mean a foul. There's contact from corners. There's contact constantly. The players are touched tight with each other. Just because you're touching someone doesn't make it a penalty. You know, because it's a foot contact, whatever. That's not a penalty for me. And it was offside. And we got away with that, to be honest, because he'd given it as a penalty and then it's been given as offside and it was fractions. And that offside rule is a bit of a joke, in my opinion. I think it does spoil the game. I'm glad we absolutely got away with it today. And we'll come on to our goal in a minute. But, you know, we did get lucky with that. And for me, that wasn't a foul. It wasn't enough. I think he conned the ref. I thought the ref was poor all game. And yeah, we got away with it with the silly offside where it comes down to toenails width. But moving on now from the Richarlison penalty, that wasn't. You know, you think about how lucky we were with the goal as well. That goes down to another VAR. The lines are drawn. You're thinking he's going to give it offside. They're measuring it up against his arm. It's just farcical, isn't it, David?
The image that I saw on the Sky cameras was on such an angle that it looked very difficult to tell. And maybe they need to make it so that you don't have to get the lines out, because we're talking millimeters you can't see with the blur of the image. How can you possibly tell what's right and what's wrong? I know we're trying to say it's perfectly right, but it isn't. Maybe they're right about feet. If you look at the feet, because they tend to be looking at the armpits all the time. And what's that got to do with running?
Not right. I agree it's not right. And there needs to be some sort of change. Apparently the players and the clubs want this to stay how it is. I'd like to see it to be the feet. But the viewing experience of watching football right now is just terrible. I mean, the football Everton are playing is bad enough, but then the no fans and then the VAR and then all the drama going on. It's just the season can end as far as I'm concerned soon, because it's not enjoyable. I'm not just talking about the investment needed, but this the whole experience is just, it's not the same. We need the fans back in the ground.
I don't understand why it took 93 minutes before there was any fight in either team. You know, and there was a flare up at the final whistle and an argument. Where is that on the pitch?
Someone screamed, didn't they? They went, yeah, they were all celebrating.
Passive for 90 minutes.
The goal again. Leno, he's made an absolute howler. It's a cross into Calvert-Lewin, and it's
a Pickford.
It's almost like he had so little to do the whole game. He just completely lost his concentration, and it's gone through his legs and into the goal. He should hang his head in shame. And as we say, a lot of the Arsenal fans are going to be in meltdown right now, because I know if that happened, if that was our goalkeeper, he would be getting his balls chopped off right now everywhere, metaphorically, of course. But it's painful to watch. And then, you know, the last, I think it was the 78th minute, the goal. You know, you've got 13 minutes to hold out, and you think, can Everton do that? Away from home, we've been rock solid, though, in general. And he makes a substitution again. Davis comes on, which was the right one. And Mina as well. I thought that was the right one at that time. And from that moment, we looked as if we were going to shut up the shop. And we did so. But it didn't stop Arsenal getting a couple of chances. I think Coleman dithering on a through ball. There was a corner, and then Pickford makes a great save low. And then another one where Pickford makes a fantastic save. So Arsenal did have a couple of chances, and that is the risk when you invite them on. The way Everton actually played, it's kind of it was almost like for 80 minutes until the first goal, we were trying to see the game out. It was almost like we were winning 2-3-0. We have a habit of playing like that.
Yeah, it's just no urgency, is there at all? Just nothing. I was crying out, I think 60, 70 minutes. I was my frustration levels were going up, along with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, who were dropping deeper and deeper to get the ball. and making things even more congested. And I really wanted like Josh King to come on, or just somebody to just stretch the game a bit more. And yeah, on comes Fabian Delph. I mean, I don't want to criticize that too much, but I just wanted like an attacking sub, and we really did get away with one with the goal.
We were getting battered though at that point, and I think he did need to make some change. You know what, Dave?
We were getting battered. I think we stepped off once we got that, we conceded the penalty, and then it got overturned. From that moment, we didn't seem to play.
They were shy. They weren't brave, were they?
Think we would use that as motivation to, we're not a goal down now, let's go and win the game. But instead it was like, oh, let's sit off, let's pass it around the back.
Have we got too many players doing the same thing in that midfield 100%, all at
once? 100%.
Everyone stood like next to each other and no one's actually doing. We just need to get someone on that touchline.
Is there because you look at the team sheet and you think there's a balance to that team, don't you, when you see it on paper as a 4-3-3? But was there a balance? Because we couldn't build up through the pitch. I don't think there was a balance. The personnel in the wrong positions.
No, I know.
Jonathan Calvert-Lewin, you're just crying out for a third attacking, pacey player to occupy their defence, to stretch them, to offer something different, because they just have to take Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison out of the game. And we won't create anything.
If we had a winger or two on the touchline, you open up so much more space for James, for Gomez, for Sigurdsson to do something. I don't think all three can play together. I think they're far too similar. They occupy the same spaces, and they're all passing responsibility. Thought James was awful tonight, and when he doesn't play well, but he plays, it's like playing with 9 men, 10 men. At times, I felt we were playing with 8 men. Moving forward, obviously, we've got West Ham away. We've got Aston Villa twice. We've got Man City away. They'll have already won the league by then. So hopefully we can go there and get something. There's some difficult games. You'd say that certainly the top 6 is in Everton's hands. With the fixtures that they have, it's so gutting, really, looking back at that Spurs game, because you think that's 2 points. We'd be 1 point behind top 4 with a game in hand had we won that. And you sat thinking, oh, my God, how have they done that? Yeah, I mean, honestly.
Well, we've got to move forward. We've had a lot of those frustrating matches this year. Don't want to pinpoint it directly on Spurs, because you could say Leicester at home, Palace at home, Spurs at home, and all those Fulhams, Newcastle and Brightons that we didn't turn up for. We could be well higher up the league by now, but we aren't. So we work with what we've got, and what we are is 3 points off West Ham, and we play them, is it 2 weeks' time? So yeah, I don't think that will be an easy game, but it is in our hands. We beat them. We're level with them.
Hopefully we can get Decore back. We need to just go there and sorry, there's a bit of chaos right now. We need to go to West Ham and do a job on them, don't we? David Moyes he's been a revelation this season with West Ham, and he's got them close to the Champions League. I noticed actually some of the teams are playing each other this weekend. West Ham and Chelsea, is that right? I think there's a couple of the competitors are all playing each other. So it's a good opportunity now to try and get some ground. We couldn't have afforded to drop points today. We know that. And thankfully, by the will of God, we have managed to come away and absolutely rob Arsenal. But moving forward, the performances have got to be Spurs-esque, but with that kind of clinical edge. And I think top 6 is definitely in Everton's hands. But if we keep playing like this, you'd have to say it's going to be a tall order.
West Ham are playing Chelsea tomorrow at 5:30. I mean, that's a difficult one to call. I mean, half of me saying we need Chelsea to lose. Yeah. If we have any chance of going to top 4, they have to lose, because they have to drop points for us to catch them. But really, you're kind of thinking, well, if West Ham lose, then got a chance there.
Let's go microphone. Was it mine? Sorry. I think we have to look realistically at where we're going with this, and if we're going for the top 6, I think it's going to be the top 6 that they're going for, 6th place, really. Then you kind of look and think, well, who's more likely to get in the top 4? Who aren't we catching? I don't think we're going to catch Chelsea. I think they will we'll see it off. They've got a lot of quality. They've been really good under the new manager. I don't see us catching Chelsea, so I'd say Chelsea win. We're more likely to overtake West Ham. We've got West Ham to play. A draw would be a good result as well. And you kind of just think, well, who aren't we catching? We probably have to accept and hope they win, maybe, and try and pick off who we can. If you ask me would I take sixth place now, I'd bite your hand off. Yes, I'd be underwhelmed. I think on the balance of the season, the home form's been utterly dreadful, and I think just a few more points at home, look where we'd be comfortably in the top four. So I think on the balance of it, I'd be a little bit underwhelmed. But we're talking about an Everton side that has won 1 in 6. We are missing some players, not in terms of that they're injured, that we just don't have them here, that what we need to become an elite Premier League team. So I'd be satisfied, I think, overall on the balance with 6th. And I think it's within our hands given the fixtures we've got.
Well, the pressure's on us now. We're playing Aston Villa at home next Saturday. Spurs don't have the game this weekend because of the cup final.
Okay.
They don't play till Sunday. So next week we're going to go into that with the chance to go into a qualifier position for Europe. And let's see how well we deal with that pressure, because we don't get a result. They're playing Sheffield United at home.
Yeah, shit.
We
Okay.
fully expect them to pick up the 3 points. Really, we need to pick up the 3 points to start with. But in terms of Champions League and Europa League and Conference League, if we got in the Champions League,
I want Conference League.
I think we'd struggle so badly. I think we'll struggle in the Europa League personally.
He'll sign players though, and they'll improve.
Our targets will change. If we get in the Europa League this year, I think you can't expect us to progress fast enough that we're going to then get in the Champions League in league position the following year. Whereas if we don't get into Europe, I think we then have to look to get 4th much more prominently.
4th, obviously, would be the dream. And I think you can attract some serious players. It opens up the sponsorship, the investment. It allows us to, we can invest a lot more money because you can justify it, in the eyes of the game. When people are watching what you're doing, you can say, well, Champions League team, we can afford to sponsor Finch Farm for 100 million a season or something ridiculous. So, the opportunities are there, but realistically, it's Europa League. Some of these players, a lot of these players have come to try and get in the Champions League. They want Champions League. They've come from Champions League teams. If they don't get Champions League, it's on them because they won't have been good enough across the course of the season. And the same with the manager. Dave, thanks for joining. Go and enjoy the win. It is a win. The weekend's not been ruined. You can smile. We've won at Arsenal. No disrespect to Arsenal. This isn't a vintage Arsenal team. It's a great club. Got a lot of respect for them in terms of the name. Shame on them for the Super League thing, but it's a great club, and although they've let themselves down and the team isn't very good at the moment, yet they'll go on to bigger and better things. But we've got to be delighted really to finally do the double over them and to finally win at the Emirates, because I've seen us flake away, go there and Giroud every time and. Just feeling
we've thrown away winning positions there,
but we've not today.
Let's be happy that we're adding to that catalogue of key wins this season against opposition we haven't beaten. That is progression.
The Liverpool, Arsenal, and Spurs away wins are massive. That to break the duck, and I think we've got to win at Chelsea soon, and I think that's it really, in terms of those hoodoos, and try and win more regularly at these teams. And certainly beat them at home. We've proven, with the 3 wins against the Super League 6 there, and beating Chelsea, we're as good as on our day. We can be as good as anyone. Dave, thanks for joining. And I'm sure if we do the Everton show midweek, if we've got stuff that we need to talk about, we'll do that. And if not, I'll see you for the preview for the Aston Villa game. Guys, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching back, leave a comment if you feel you'd like to do so, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks. Take care. Bye.